Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Intellectually Speaking. My name is Robert, and I hope everybody is having a great day. And yes, I did change the name of my YouTube channel. You know, I've been doing a lot of thinking here lately, and I'm actually heading back to Waco from Dallas, where I carried a young lady up. And her and I, we talked a little bit, and I kind of shared a few things with her, and she had just gotten out of rehab, and she was going to a sober living house. And I asked her, I said, did they ask you, why did you start doing ice? She's like, no, they never did. I said, that probably should have been the first thing that came up. And then I told her, I said, the reason why that's important is because that same event may come back around 5 years down the line. And then that drug will say in the back of your mind, remember me? Remember this is the reason why you started taking it in the first place. And then you might relapse. So that's kind of the segue of what I want to talk about now. Because the reason why she decided to get sober was more or less she got sick and tired of being sick and tired. She had a chain of events in her life that forced her to make the decision. Oftentimes enough, we find ourselves in a very same scenario. We become addicted to life. Life happens. We start taking these self-medicating drugs, if you will, and before you know it, things aren't going the way that we thought that they would in life. Does anybody out there know exactly what I'm talking about? In my case, I do rideshare, and I've talked about it quite extensively. But when things quit working in your life and you find yourself fighting the same battles month after month, it wears on you. You get tired. And you're like, you know what? Something's got to give. Something has to turn around. But then you keep holding on to hope. And you keep holding on to this idea, waiting for things to change. And that is one of the biggest things today's church talks about is hope. Wait. Your breakthrough's coming. Who says it's coming? And then they use scriptures to back it up, and I am not discounting the Word of God at all. That is not my intentions at all. But they put this idea inside of your head. Just hold on, wait. It's on the timing of God. Okay, fine. But God will only work if you're working. If you're sitting there not doing anything, how can He work? How can He change things in your life if you're not doing anything to change them? How can He bless that? I once saw something on Criminal Minds and heard something that made a lot of sense to me. It was about hope. But the way it rationalized inside of my head was hope is a place that sticks you in time. You keep waiting for something. You keep hoping for something to change. But nothing ever changes. I've been hoping for the last 4.5, 5 years that things would change, that things would get better. But if I'm not doing anything different, how are they going to get any better, and how can God bless that? All I do is I find myself in the true definition of insanity. I keep doing the same things over and over and over again, expecting change, but nothing's changing. It's kind of like I quit praying. God knows what I need. But I kept praying for the exact same things day in and day out. And oftentimes enough, I felt like my prayers were not being heard. And maybe they weren't being heard because I kept praying for the same things over and over and over again, expecting things to change. But then again, how can you pray for things when you do the kind of work that I do, knowing that things are not going to change? You'll get a blessing from here and there, but like today, I'm heading back to Waco from Dallas, like I indicated. But whenever I get back, I'm going to have to put more gas in my car. And I put 25 in it this morning. I'm going to have to put 35 in it whenever I get back. Do the math. That's $60 in gas. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. When you keep expecting for things to change, knowing that they're not going to change. And then I do my data sheets. And I've talked about that quite extensively. When you look at the numbers and you see the facts, you're like, where's my blessing at? I see the money, but I'm looking at the time and I'm looking at the miles that I had to drive. Where's the blessing at there? And then you've got systems that are devised to purposely screw you over. Where's the blessing in that? How can you pray against that? How can you pray for it? How can you pray for a blessed day when you know without a shadow of a doubt what you're going to have to do to make the money that you need for that day? It's like I had a ride earlier. I made $6 and some change off of that ride. From the time that I accepted that ride to the time that I dropped that passenger off was 24 minutes. That was on Lyft. And then I noticed the ride before that. But I've been noticing specific patterns with Lyft here lately. It may look like that you're getting decent rides, and you may look at the miles, but then you look at the time. Look at how much time you're having to spend with each passenger to make that $7.90. At least 20 minutes. Do the breakdown on that. That enables you to have 2 rides an hour. That's $15.60 an hour is what you're making if you was to break it down. And they've put this new little thing. If you was to maintain rides for an hour at this, you would make this amount of money. That's impossible. It's a smoke screen. It's impossible. If you're a Lyft driver, you know what I'm talking about. It's a distraction because you can't make that kind of money because you're having to spend so much time in one trip. At most, you're only going to get 2 rides completed and you're going to start on the 3rd one. At most. You might get 3 rides an hour, but do the math for that. If it's a 18-minute ride times 3, that's an hour. An 18-minute ride, that's $6 and some change per ride, if you're lucky. If you're lucky. But look at the miles that you would have to drive for that $18. And look at your time. But that's why I decided, I made the fundamental decision that I needed to go back to school. It's the only way that I'm going to change my life. Period. End of subject. There is no fortune to be made in manufacturing. None. Factory work is a dead end. Manufacturing and factory work are dead end jobs. Because you're forced to work overtime just to have a decent paycheck. All right? And then you're taxed to death. You may do 30 years at that job, retire at the age of 45, and look like you're 80. Your body's beat up. You're worn out. You ain't got a damn thing to show about it, because if you want retirement, you have to put money back, so that cuts in. Factory work's a dead-end job. And I've been talking about this a lot with my passengers. The importance of education. Things happen for a purpose and a reason. And it's no accident, ladies and gentlemen, that I started doing these spreadsheets and analyzing data and becoming interested in data analytics. But the program that I'm going to go for is for computer programming and technologies, because a lot of that has to do with analytics. It's no coincidence. The devil knew a long time ago that if he could take and throw me into special ed classes starting from 6th grade all the way through 12th grade and keep me from my full potential, then that would hold me back in life. That would prevent me from breaking the chains of bondage that I grew up in, of generational poverty. So what happened was I went to a school district, and actually I can look all through school, always knowing, looking back now, that I never stood a chance. My parents didn't care about education. I didn't have the support at home. The teachers bullied me. They took and they threw me in special ed classes when they could. I was made fun of because I was the poor kid. I was the odd duckling, if you will. So I never stood a chance, ever. And the classes where they couldn't put me in special ed, I did quite well. I was the throwaway kid in my personal life and in school. My parents no more cared about me than the man on the moon. I look back now and I'm like, yep, because I had to figure my way through life on my own. Never having any structure or guidance. It wasn't until I was doing recruiting for the Marine Corps that I knew what the ACTs and the SATs were. I didn't know what a high school counselor was until that point. Nobody had ever talked to me about, hey Robert, what do you want to do after you graduate high school? Have you ever thought about college? Nobody talked to me about trade schools. Nothing. I had to figure out all that on my own. This hit me the other day. A lot of the choices that I've made in life, bad and good, was out of survival skills. Now, a lot of those bad choices that I made was because bad choices. I'm going to leave that at that. Things that I should not have done. Bad decisions, not thinking about what I was doing or the consequences thereof. A lot of it was driven out of loneliness and out of desperation because my home life sucked back then. But I look at my life now and I'm like, you know what? I'm at the age now, it's time to do something about it. Because I can't quit. I can't keep playing the victim like what I've just discussed with you. Because that's a victim mentality. If I want change in my life, and I mean real change, then I have to get the education that I need to ensure my personal success. I've got the Hazelwood Act with the Navy. The state of Texas will pay for my education. All I got to do is buy the books and stuff online. Or buy the books, whatever. But if I want to be successful, and if I no longer want to live the life of sick and tired of being sick and tired, then I have to do something about it. I'm the only one that can do anything about it. I'm the one that has to fill out the paperwork. I'm the one that's going to have to sit there and watch the instructor online. I'm the one that's going to have to do the work. The good Lord's not going to do my homework for me. All he'll do is bless me with the wisdom so that I can pass the classes. But I still have to apply myself. I still have to do the work. I have to do the work. If I want water in my valley, then I'm going to have to dig the trenches. I'm going to have to do it. If I want to win the battle, then I'm going to have to put my faith in God that he's going to see me through this and he's going to bless me while I'm doing the work. The factory work is a dead-end job. I could not stress that more. And what gets me, and this is what really drives me insane, is the city of Waco, the only thing that's coming to Waco is manufacturing work. You know what that tells me? It's to keep a segment of the population poor and broke. To maintain a working class. Waco will never be an Austin. It will never be a Houston. It will never be a Dallas. It will never be a Fort Worth. It will never be a San Antonio. Waco is setting itself up to purposely and willfully keep people down. And that's what happens when you have a society that is so conservative that they bring in work that only benefits a certain segment of the population and is designed to keep everybody else down. A society cannot flourish if it does not have a balance of conservative and liberal ideas. Waco, it's a place where hope goes to die. And I don't know why people are moving to Waco. Apparently, they say, oh, it's cheaper. For who? Maybe for you, but not for those that were born and raised here. Not for the everyday person. It's not. For the people that's doing the factory work making $15 to $20 an hour. That is not good money in today's society. Now when you're looking at rent between $1,600 to $2,200 a month before bills. Can't do it. You're merely existing at that point. You have no room for extras. And I'm sorry, life is too short. But you also have a public education system where a majority of the students cannot go to college. They cannot pursue higher education. But the school system in and of itself, that's another conversation. Where social media and popularity and being an influencer is taking hold, and the emphasis on education is not. I talked to these kids at Baylor University. What are you going to school for? Pre-med, business. Okay, why? What do you plan on achieving? What do you plan on achieving besides just making money? Is it something that you're going to be good at? That you will excel at? That you will be prosperous at? Where do you see yourself? But I think oftentimes enough, these schools, they don't ask those kind of questions to these students. Do you have a 5, 10, 15, 20-year plan? What are you willing to do to ensure that those goals are set in place? Oftentimes enough, people's success is driven by what comes out of them. And I'm talking about children. Because that's all that they know. And that's what's going on in Waco. And so the generational curse of generational poverty continues on. not understanding the importance of abstinence, or that your past can haunt you in the future. What you do today on social media can be seen by tomorrow's job. But that's exactly what I'm going to talk about on my podcast, is the importance of education. If you don't want to be sick and tired of being sick and tired, then go after something that's bigger than you are. And I'm not talking about hoping in something or starting up your own business. It takes a lot of money to start up your own business. It takes a lot of capital, a lot of hard work, and society kind of drills that into your head. But what about a good job making $80, $90, $100 something $1,000 and put your education to work for you? So, and do something that you love to do. Not just starting up a restaurant or a retail store of some kind, but getting the solid experience through a company, multiple companies, to make yourself marketable. It's not just about networking anymore. It's about making yourself marketable and having examples, portfolios of your work and the things that you've accomplished and done. So, anyway, I hope everybody has a wonderful day. And there will be a lot more of these videos to come. Until next time, thank you for watching Intellectually Speaking. And we will talk to you later.